Hey there, it's Steve from Serious Keto, and this is the Not So Serious Keto video podcast. I think this one might be a little bit shorter, but lots of times I think that and they still wind up being about 15 minutes. So we'll just see how this plays out. You may notice that my voice sounds maybe a little bit raspy today, and that is because we are on, I'm recording this on Saturday, so we're on day 5 or 6 of breathing in Canadian Canadian wildfire air down here in southeast Wisconsin. Well, down here if you're in Canada, up here if you're pretty much anyplace else. But that aside, the air here has just been awful. In fact, on Tuesday, the air in Milwaukee was the worst air quality in the world for that day. That's not really a claim to fame you want to have. So I've been sneezing a lot. Colton's been sneezing a lot. I've talked to some people with asthma and it's just been wrecking them. A lot of people having headaches and stuff. It is just gross outside. It's got this sort of dingy, almost hint of yellow look to it that sometimes you see before a storm. And it's like looking through a dingy window, sort of. Like it's got some sort of a cakey, oily something on it, whether it's a window or a windshield, except then you go outside and you realize it's not the window. That's just what things look like. And I kind of like fog. I think fog is cool because fog has got sort of a whitish blue to it, and it has sort of a mystical thing going on. This Canadian smoke, no, it's like I said, it is just pretty gross. And my hope is that it clears out by the 4th of July. But based on what we have, and I see where the trajectory is going on this, sort of along the East Coast, working its way down to the Southeast, you have my empathy and sympathy both if you are in the path of this, because it's not great stuff. Switching gears here a bit, I'm a fan of Zevia, the sugar-free, stevia-based soda. And it's gotten kind of hard to find around here. It used to be that Sam's Club had a variety pack that had, I think it was cola, root beer, ginger ale, cream soda, Dr. Zevia, which is their, like Dr. Pepper, and something else. I don't remember what the other one was. And then Costco, they had just a 3-flavor pack. It was cola, root beer, and Dr. Zevia. But then they got a different flavor pack that had orange, grape, and cherry cola. Now, I'm not super thrilled about cherry cola, but orange and grape, man, did I love these. It took me back to my childhood in the 70s and drinking Shasta and running through the sprinkler. Big fan of the grape and orange. I'm a big fan in general of Zevia versus other diet sodas because it's not particularly sweet. It's just a tiny little bit sweet. And for me, these other diet sodas, it's too much sweetness for my palate these days. Now the problem is, I went to Sam's Club, they didn't have any. I went to Costco, and they didn't have the flavor pack that I liked, the orange and grape and cherry cola. This was a couple of weeks ago. Last time I went, which was 2 days ago, they didn't have any. So I had to order Zevia from Amazon, which is, it's more expensive, definitely. I think I'm paying it's like $2 a can or close to $2 a can, at least what I ordered on Amazon. So I'm curious to know, if you are a Zevia fan yourself, are you seeing a shortage of Zevia or a complete lack of Zevia? If so, where do you live? Or if you've got an abundance of that wherever you live, where is that? I wonder if it's close. And segueing from the whole diet soda thing, another week, another big article about bad sweeteners. In this case, it's aspartame. So a couple of weeks ago, we had the whole issue with sucralose. And I talked about that and the flaws with the study on that. There was one on erythritol not that long ago as well. I think that came before the one on sucralose. Then there was one a couple of weeks ago from the World Health Organization that it starts off, if you're just glancing at headlines, it looks like it condemns everything but sugar. But as you dive deeper into it and actually read the article, basically what they're saying is they saw no correlation between weight loss and using artificial or non-sugar sweeteners. And I talk about that in a previous podcast. I give my thoughts on that and why that is and why you don't see a correlation, as well as my thoughts on the World Health Organization. So I'm not going to reiterate any of that right here, but I'll link to that podcast down in the description below, maybe throw it in the end card. That way you can find it more easily. But this particular week, it is about aspartame. Aspartame now is classified by the World Health Organization as a level 2B carcinogen. So let me talk about the levels of carcinogens from the World Health Organization. There's level 1. This is the bad stuff. This is a carcinogen. They're coming right out and saying this is a carcinogen. So you see things like tobacco on there. Pretty much anything you look at on that list either has a really long, scary chemical name that probably feels like it's a carcinogen, or it's something that we know is a carcinogen, like tobacco. Level 2A is probably a carcinogen, level 2B is possibly a carcinogen, and level 3 is no known proof that it's a carcinogen. Now, I just want to pause for a second and say this article is purely about whether aspartame is a carcinogen. Additionally, as I talk about anything in this, it's all framed within, is it a carcinogen or not? Not, is it something that some people have allergic reactions to, or does it cause inflammation, or does it cause gastrointestinal issues, or anything like that. Simply, is it potentially a cancer-causing agent? And as of this week, or last week, now the World Health Organization says aspartame possibly is a carcinogen. Now, as I look at the list of other things that are possibly carcinogens, there's some stuff on there that makes you scratch your head a little bit. For example, aloe vera. I don't know why that would be a carcinogen. Carpentry. Pickled vegetables. Possible carcinogen. Now, interestingly, one of the things that was on the list of the list number 3, which is not a carcinogen, was carrageenan. And I know a lot of people get concerned about carrageenan because it's inflammatory, which is partially true. Food-grade carrageenan is different than the carrageenan that is used in laboratories on mice to cause inflammation. That is called degraded carrageenan. Degraded carrageenan cannot be included in food. It's a special process to make carrageenan inflammatory. Now, if you want to avoid carrageenan, that's cool. And in fact, anything that I say on this list, if it's something that you want to do, great. If it's something you want to eat, great. If it's something you don't, that's fine. I'm not here to police you. We all just take information and do what we will with it. We make our lifestyle decisions. I've said this time and time again. It's important that you know what affects you and what you can eat and feel good and feel healthy eating. So if having aspartame on the list as a possible carcinogen is enough to make you not want to use it, that's okay. I'm not going to judge. But I also, myself, I'm not going to use this big list from the World Health Organization to determine what I eat and what I don't eat. Because let's take a look at level 2A, which are probable carcinogens. And if you are keto or carnivore, you're not going to like this one. Red meat. Probable carcinogen. Some other probable carcinogens. Working night shift. This is true. I will include a link down below in the description to the list. You can get out and see what every tier of carcinogen is. You can download it as an Excel spreadsheet so you can sort it. So yes, night shift, working night shifts, probable carcinogen. Being a hairdresser or barber. Yes, that's on the list, probable carcinogen. Drinking beverages that are over 149 degrees Fahrenheit, probable carcinogen. And I looked up what temperature Starbucks serves their coffee at. 150 to 170 degrees Fahrenheit. Enjoy your steaming cup of cancer. And before any Starbucks fans leave an angry comment, that was sort of tongue-in-cheek right there. And the reason I bring this up is because fear sells. Fear attracts attention, fear generates clicks, clicks generate ad revenue. And what happens very often is people get bored after they get past the headline and the first paragraph, and all they absorb is the words aspartame and carcinogen. And that is what sticks in their brain. Now it's time to dump out all of my Diet Coke. Oh, carcinogen. And they don't read deeper into the article. People don't go then to the World Health Organization's website and start looking at their list of carcinogens and reading all of the little caveats and disclaimers that kind of protect them so that they can say maybe and possibly. And all I'm trying to do is hopefully provide a more level-headed, rational, calm, and sane response than what is presented in some of these articles that are really just designed to be sensational. And I hope I'm doing an all right job at it. About a month ago, I introduced a little game on this podcast called Two Truths and a Lie. And I'm not ready to do the second version of that yet. I need to come up with a couple of good, clever ones or interesting ones before I do part two. But instead, what I want to do is, well, I get told an awful lot that I sound like a couple of people. Casey Kasem is a big one. I hear that a lot. I hear Paul Harvey. I'm told that. And my memory of Paul Harvey, I was pretty young when Paul Harvey was around. Casey Kasem, more familiar with. The other one that I get from time to time is Ron Swanson, which I believe is the character played by Nick Offerman in Parks and Recreation. I've not actually watched that show. I probably should. I heard it's funny. But I would take any of these as a compliment. Nick Offerman, I think his voice is a lot cooler than mine. He's got, it's more laid back. But I would be proud to be told by anyone that I sound like any of those three gentlemen. I also get told an awful lot that I look like various people. And I'm not going to tell you who those people are because I'm going to let you tell me. So here's the game this week. You tell me, who is it that I look like? Celebrity or semi-celebrity or other YouTube personality. Those are all acceptable. If it's like, you look like my neighbor, I can't really validate that. So let me know down in the comments below. You can try to include a link, whether it's a link to a video on YouTube, that'll probably work. YouTube can be a little bit iffy in terms of letting people post links. Very often YouTube will delete comments that have links, especially outside of YouTube. But you can try. If there's a picture, if you see a particular celebrity and you're like, wow, Steve looks just like insert person, try linking to it. And then maybe come back to your comment a little later in the day just to make sure it's stuck, just to make sure that the YouTube link police didn't get rid of it. And what I will do is I'll look at all of these, and at the end I will decide who I agree with. Who do I look like? And there's not probably going to be any prize from this other than recognition, which is worth essentially nothing. But you will get some recognition from me. I'll say, hey, so-and-so said that Chris Bear said Steve looks just like whomever. And that'll be the prize next week, just hearing your name on this podcast. One of the things that I enjoy the most about this Serious Keto community that you all have created in the comments is oftentimes when I will do a podcast topic, it'll be pretty clear in my brain, and I feel like it's pretty clear coming out of my mouth, but sometimes it isn't. And it's your comments that kind of help me suss that out a little bit, and sometimes force me to come back the next week and clarify my thoughts. So very often it is people that they see where I'm going, they see what I'm trying to say, they agree with me, but then they use perhaps a better example to explain it, or perhaps they articulate it more clearly in their comments than I did out of my head hole here. And I appreciate that. I also appreciate those people who present a counter point of view. Now, I do find that very often their counter point of view is a misinterpretation of what I said. And once they perhaps maybe are putting forth an argument that they feel is counter to what I'm saying, but in reality, they're kind of just saying what I'm saying, but I didn't articulate it all that well, so I understand why they would want to argue against me. In other situations, it is just a legitimate difference of opinion. And that's a good thing. It's good that we have differing opinions because it challenges us to think differently, to think through topics more fully. And so I appreciate it whether people agree with me or disagree with me. And last week, what I was trying to say is I feel that as a society, at least here in the States, we have really allowed ourselves to normalize a lot of bad health, especially in terms of our weight and our fitness. I thought that I was pretty clear that my position was not against people. I believe in accepting people. I believe in caring about people. I don't believe in bullying. I was bullied a lot throughout my life, childhood and adulthood. I don't believe in fat shaming. I've been called fat. I don't like being called fat. I mean, I don't think anybody likes being called fat. Even though I knew I was fat, I spent much of my childhood fat. I spent much of my adulthood fat. I was okay kind of being down on myself for being fat, but it's not cool to hear. In fact, I had a boss about 10 years ago who told me I was fat. That's not super cool. He didn't rank real high in terms of emotional intelligence. And even though I knew I was fat, I knew that it hurt. My pants hurt. It was cutting off the circulation to the bottom part of my body, and my belly hung over my belt. And I was just sweaty all the time. I would get up and I'd be teaching classes, and I was like Louis Anderson, just sweating, and I'm toweling myself off. But even though I knew I was fat, I didn't like to be called fat, which is why I don't want to call other people fat. And I wasn't saying, let's not accept fat people. What I was saying is, I feel that the body positive movement has, in certain instances, gotten to the point where it's celebrating being in an unhealthy state, being obese. I don't know that anyone would argue that being obese is a healthy thing to do. But I wasn't saying that we should ridicule these people. I wasn't saying that we should fat shame these people. I don't know that I was saying anything about what we should do, because I don't know what we should do. If you can't have tough love or some sort of intervention, I think the best thing that you can do is celebrate body improvement, lifestyle improvement. So as people make changes and you recognize that they're trying to make a change, that they're getting out and they're going walking, or they're modifying their diet, they're giving up sugar, they're giving up grains, whether they're going fully keto or not, to recognize that and to be positive about that and give people encouragement, that's, I think, the way we should try and move people towards a healthier lifestyle. I try and do that on this channel as often as I can. Whenever someone leaves a comment sharing their success story, whether that's 200 pounds or their first 5 pounds on keto, I congratulate them. I tell them that is fantastic. I'm glad to have you here. I'm glad that you decided to include me as part of your journey. So really, that's what I was saying. I think we should be positive about positive actions, but not celebrate or get comfortable or normalize poor health. That's where I was going. And even after this clarification, there may be some of you who still disagree with my position. And as I said, that's okay. Disagreement is okay. I'm not going to get upset by someone who disagrees with me. What isn't okay is attacking, whether that's attacking me or attacking your fellow serious keto folks. After that podcast, I got a handful of comments. Not a big handful, 5, 6 comments out of hundreds that called me fat-phobic, a fat shamer, a bully, a racist, and I'm trying to remember this one exactly. It was basically that I pretend to care about people's health to act as a disguise for my own bigotry and hatred of fat people, and that I'm no better than a common wife beater. Now, I didn't respond to any of these people because there's no upside to that. I guess my response is this right here. If you are just that full of anger and it makes you feel better attacking people, I would appreciate it if you would just move along. Serious keto isn't the place for you. Thanks for watching. For just a second in my brain, that felt like an ideal end to this video, but I wanted to make sure that I said thank you to all of the rest of you. Thank you for watching. Thank you for your support of this channel. You mean the world to me. So what I'm going to do is over here in the end card, up on the top, I'm going to put the podcast where I talk about the last World Health Organization article, and underneath that, since we're approaching 4th of July, I'll put my barbecue and grilling playlist. Just hopefully it'll spur some ideas for you for tomorrow, assuming you're watching this on Monday. But that's it for this video. As always, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching.